As a heads up, this will be my last pre-banning video. Tomorrow we will move on to post-ban content. Content creators got to record on the content creator schedule. I'm sure you kind of can understand. With that being said, Elves! Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. And today Matthew F has me going back to like some casual kitchen top table vibes. You know when you first start playing, you're like, I'm going to make a insert creature type deck is like very much the vibe. We're gonna go back to that today. We're gonna play a nice white bordered version of the card. In memory of how many of you might have played this originally. Coat of Arms is a sweet finisher for a lot of commander decks to this day. Each creature gets +1/+1 for each other creature on the battlefield that shares at least one creature type with it. So, we are going to play an obnoxious number of elves today, and we are going to make them very, very big. And Matthew referenced a time when it was like a pile of mana dorks plus coat of arms plus, I'm going to pull this one up for some of the younger viewers here, plus deranged hermit as a finisher. And when you would play coat of arms, deranged hermit itself was an elf, so it would get bigger for your elves, and then it would make squirrels, and squirrels would get bigger for your other squirrels. I think deranged hermit is fully power crept out of Legacy. I mean, I think Coat of Arms is too, but we're building around that one at the very least. So we want to make a very, very large number of elves, and then we want to have something to do with them. And in making a bunch of elves, we certainly want to be a Gaia's Cradle deck. And Priest of Titania was another one of the cards referenced that was kind of essential to the theme, and I think we'll keep that because we are trying to cast a 5-drop at the end of the day. And it's a 5-drop that might not win the game immediately, which is a pretty big ask for Legacy, so we need to get to 5 mana fast. The other thing we need to do is make sure that we can kill when we don't have Coat of Arms, and that we have things that we can do with the mana. So for example, Allosaurus Shepherd has a 6 mana activation that can turn our elves into dinosaurs. Ooh, I just realized that this is dinosaur in addition to their other types. So if we have Magical Christmas line here, but if we have Coat of Arms, we untap, we have Allosaurus Shepherd, we activate Allosaurus Shepherd, we are going to get to double dip with this, right? That shares at least one creature type with it. No, I think I am wrong. Yeah, ignore that previous thought. That was just a passing thought. Okay, so as far as how the rest of the supporting cast is going to go, everyone just pretend that Orcish Bowmaster doesn't exist, okay? All right, we're past that point. Cool. Because we are just playing X1s in this deck. Priest, Visionary, Shepherd, Birchlore, Mystic, Llanowar Elves, Anime Style, and Heritage Druid. Literally every card in my deck, other than a couple of Craterhoofs as an additional finisher, they are all going to be X1 creatures. We are pretending that Orcish Bowmaster fully is not a thing that exists, and we are just trying to do a thing fast. Current Legacy, as it stands as of the time of recording, is full of combo. We need to do something fast, and we just have a ton of mana dorks that are going to let us accelerate things out. Notably here, I have chosen Birchlore Rangers as a slot. I wanted a tiny bit more black mana in this deck than was already in it, because I want to be able to play a couple of Thoughtseizes for the post-sideboard games as generic catch-all versus other combo decks. And so Birchlore gets the nod over maybe something like Heritage Druid, or maybe Elvish Reclaimer that might otherwise be in the deck. Sideboard's relatively straightforward. For certain matchups, we might want to have an additional natural order target for the times that Craterhoof is just not going to get the job done for one reason or another. And then we have some silver bullets for our Green Sun that I don't necessarily think we need to be playing in game 1. Given that we're just like trying to linearly do the thing. Yeah, so this should be silly and fun, and hopefully we can manage to put a couple of wins on the board here. Folks, we've got a bunch of holidays like Christmas coming up. Should you need some cards, should you need to buy a gift for someone, consider my sponsor, TOAmagic.com. Tales of Adventure gives you free shipping. Promo code ThrabenU will save you a little bit on that order on top of that as well. And I've just had great customer service experience with them all the time. With that being said, let's Let's go cast some elves like it's kitchen table magic. Hey, Phil from the future here. I recommend skipping round 1 of this video. Alright, we have no starting mana source here. This one's no good. I'm going to assume that we will draw more mana and that this is perfectly fine. Sorry, saying that again. I'm going to assume that we draw some elves and that this will be fine overall. I think I will probably keep this and pitch one of the lands. It's like save 1 life versus thin land versus be wastelandable. Probably going to lead on Lair of the Hydra immediately. In case I need basics for some reason, let's do that. My opponent has asked me if I am playing some jank. I've never registered jank in my life. I clearly don't know what you're talking about. This is a serious try-hard channel all of the time. Only tournament viable decks here. Once upon a time. Are we going to be in the Elves ballpark? The Eldrazi ballpark? Alright. Big mana. So we've got like Planar Nexus, Cloud Post, probably the One Ring type stuff going on here. So I probably just get to Coat of Arms next turn. Get Dryad Arbor this turn. Get Dryad Arbor this turn. I think that's more important than pushing 1 damage here. I do really want like 1 more elf. Ugin. Sowing Mycospawn, sure. Unfortunately, that can get a waste. Ooh, it's getting a Yavimaya instead of a Wasteland. But my opponent might just make another Sowing Mycospawn, yeah. Now there is a problem with my current hand. This is symmetrical. This is not creatures that you control. My opponent's Eldrazi are currently bigger than my elves. If I play this out. Alright, opponent is just going bigger. Let's get a Dryad Arbor. It would be cool to just draw a natural order. Birchlore Rangers. Sure. It's probably correct to not play Coat of Arms. I can play Birchlore Rangers. Yeah. So this is 4 mana. This is a gajillion D mana. Gajillion D plus 1 mana. So we are just going to make a gargantuan creature. Swing in, try to take a giant chunk of my opponent's life total out, which is going to prompt a chump block. Which is good. I would like to decrease the number of Eldrazi that are on the board so that when I play Coat of Arms, my stuff is bigger. Now, Planar Nexus counts for Cloud Post. Probably not great for me. I don't know what exactly is happening, but I hate it. I know that much already. That is Eye of Ugin, searching for a Sowing Mycospawn. Okay, my opponent has another Spirit Guide to cast that immediately. Getting a Wasteland. Now they can Wasteland either my Lair or my Cradle. I think the Lair. I'm wrong. Alright, my opponent sends in. 16. Okay. Now do I just Coat of Arms? Awkward, right? So these would be 4/4s. My elves would get +2/+2. Yeah, no. This is awkward, but it feels correct to just keep swinging in with Lair of the Hydra. And unfortunately, I don't think that's going to keep pace with Eye of Ugin searching up Sowing Mycospawns. There's still 1 more Sowing Mycospawn left in the deck. My opponent can just hit Lair of the Hydra with it. He needed more elves. That's another Cloud Post. So these are tapping for 4 each. Yeah, I think the number of Eldrazi that my opponent controls is just going to make it so that my Coat of Arms are very, very awkward. My opponent could kick this Sowing Mycospawn potentially. So, what? Not without another land. Alright, so... Oh, fuck. Disruptor Flute. Okay. Naming Lair of the Hydra, so that can't be activated. Okay, that's perfectly reasonable. Alright, I take 6. Blast Zone is going to obliterate me. Yeah, I think I'm going to concede here. Playing against another, what are we calling them now? Kindred deck, Typal deck. I think Typal. Results in Coat of Arms just very actively being bad. That's super unfortunate. So I think I'm going to go to a mix of 1 Atraxa, 1 Craterhoof for variety here. I'm not sure if I'm going to sideboard beyond that. Like, Rexage, Collector, Oof, Thoughtseize all kind of do things. Force of Vigor technically does things. So this is mostly going to be a, how do I feel about Coat of Arms? I guess I should at least trim it, right? Like, I can keep an extra hoof and play a Rexage without vastly altering the deck chemistry. Like, coat of arms is definitely factored into my, like, win condition budget. I think I'm going to keep it. This is probably fine. So now that I know that my opponent is playing Sowing Myco Spawn, I can try to get basics in the early game. That's another reason to not try to bring in Thoughtseize to disrupt what my opponent is doing. Notably, I did consider Assassin's Trophy over Abrupt Decay in these slots, but like ended up going with something that was better against Psychic Frog rather than something that was better against some lands. This also would have been an okay opportunity to just go and play something like Choke. Basic Forest. Heritage Druid as well. I'm just going to grab another basic. Yaw. 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 And then we'll go wild using Gaia's Cradle next turn. I think you can make an argument to play Priest of Titania over Elvish Visionary this turn as well. Please don't, like, Blast Zone me. Okay, it's Planar Nexus. Alright, so that is 4 mana on turn 2. Oop, something happened. It is the One Ring. Okay, I got it, so I'm not dealing damage this turn. That's fine. This was going to be a setup turn anyway. So any 1-drop that I play is basically free. So let's go 1, 2, 3, yaw, raw. That is a Priest. 1 and 2, play Priest. Play Cradle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 mana. Is it fine to just put fucking Atraxa in play? That's probably fine. Alright. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Atraxa costs 7. Green Sun for X equals 7. Grab Atraxa. Sorcery. Oh, we got small. Okay, sorcery. Land. Creature. Sorcery, land, creature. Creature, only get 3 things. That's fine though. Those are quite good cards. Pass turn. Hello and good luck. That was pretty fucking good for a turn 3. I could have squeezed out the Priest of Titania as well, I believe. But I was trying to leave some mana open up after Atraxa in case I drew something else that I wanted to play. Maybe that was just wrong though. So our opponent loses a little to their One Ring. Wasteland is irrelevant. We have a second Gaia's Cradle. Draw 2. Probably not correct to play the Wasteland prior to the draw 2. That is a new One Ring, so my opponent gets another turn and gets to draw another card. I don't know that I play any more things. I think I'm just going to keep stuff to rebuild in case something goes wrong. Reclamation Sage does not destroy the indestructible One Ring. The opponent gets 2 more cards. Okay. This is super annoying. So my opponent is going to lose life very quickly between the One Ring and Glacial Chasm. I kind of can't do things until later. What did that do? Targeted a Priest of Titania. Okay, sure. Since my opponent cares about that, I will go ahead and play another one. From here, I think I'll just chill. So this is 2 life loss from the One Ring, 2 life loss from Glacial Chasm, and both of these are going to end up scaling up each turn. My opponent is currently at 14. Ooh. Sure. Cloud Post is very good for my opponent. My opponent needs more raw mana to do something meaningful while still doing something like casting additional copies of the One Ring or Kozilek's Command or whatever. One Ring being indestructible makes it frustratingly hard to interact with. There's a Spirit Guide to Exile. We're just getting more Cloud Post. What are we doing? That just takes away the thing that is turning on Urza's Tower currently. So I'm not sure that that was a good play. There's another Planar Nexus in hand. It makes sense. I'm just going to do a weird thing that draws a card. Let's just sacrifice an Elvish Visionary. And then pick up a new Elvish Visionary to draw a card. Green Sun, sure. Let's do that for 2. Don't have the Collector Oof boarded in for this exact sort of situation, unfortunately. I could pick up a Shepherd. Shepherd seems redundant here. I'm just going to pick up another Visionary, draw another card, and we'll chill. So now opponent's going to draw a card. The Glacial Chasm life loss is going to add up. If you haven't played with it before, cumulative upkeep is exactly that. It's 2 life for each age counter on it. So it is going to be 4 life this turn. They are at 9. Okay, there was another planar nexus. Then the play of the previous turn was good. That is a kicked sowing Myco spawn. I lose a forest there. We'll see if my opponent is going to go for a wasteland. Going for a Yavimaya. The Glacial Chasm now taps for mana. Another sowing Myco spawn. I have lost Gaia's Cradle. Opponent has picked up Eye of Ugin. The Glacial Chasm's still there, so I still can't attack. I think I'm just passing the turn. I think I'm still just saving things for a rebuild if need be. I figured I might be able to weather the storm versus the One Ring, but Glacial Chasm really messes up that math a lot. A crop rotation with that trigger on the stack. That doesn't matter. I have Priest of Titania. It's more annoying that I have to click through it than anything else. Fuck. Okay. So that actually might not be that bad. Still, I think, keep everything. Swords to Plowshares is bad. Isn't that the wrong thing, though? Don't you just, like, hit the Heritage Druid? And then I lose way more creatures and I can't possibly, like, Natural Order or Hoof or anything? Because I don't actually need to do that much damage to kill my opponent. Like, I can tap 3 Elvish Visionaries, keep my other 3 Elves, draw Cradle, Natural Order, play the second Craterhoof Behemoth, and that probably kills my opponent with 4 attackers without doing any math. Notably, if my opponent wins, that's not great. If my opponent wins this game, they're almost certainly going to time out in the next game based on their pace of play. So I don't think I'm going to concede this one. I think I'm just going to clock them. Alright, they've drawn some cards. My cat desperately wants in the room. Crop rotation! What, mister? Glimmer Post, sure. That is an Emrakul. That's not great for me. My opponent has some triggers. They're at 9 life when all of that has cleared. I have to sacrifice 6 permanents. I will take 15. They'll draw some more cards, which I actively think is a mistake. I think my opponent is wasting precious seconds of clock here. They have played another One Ring and are drawing more cards. Sure. So Karakas means that they can bounce Emrakul and take some extra turns if they would like. And they will bounce the Emrakul and do exactly that. So I am 14-ish minutes ahead on clock of my opponent. Play a land, and then they will swing at me for lethal. Oh snap, they won game 1. I didn't win game 1. Oops. Okay, well, GG's. Ace of play was rough there.
Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, and honestly, they're just the best at what they do. If you need to keep your deck lists online, this is the way to do it. They have all sorts of different viewing options. You can condense that text if you like things to be tight. You can make them visual grids. You can put them in stacks. You've got all sorts of different ways to kind of view and visualize your deck lists. And they also have some really cool functionality, like allowing you to see playtest hands and even fully playtest your decks. So check them out.
Okay, so this opening hand is just all mana and no business. I think I mulligan that. Coat of Arms sure doesn't work as something to ramp into when you have a single elf, huh? I think I have to say no to this. This is fine. If I keep this, I pitch Craterhoof, and this just becomes a natural order-based hand. I think I'm going to get rid of Gaia's Cradle, even though it is a really high upside card. I really just cannot afford the Gaia's Cradle not producing mana as of right now. I'll pass the turn. Misty Rainforest. Tundra. Alright, this is an opposing combo deck. We could get comboed as soon as next turn. This is tapping for 1 mana as of right now. I don't have a second Dryad Arbor. So our plan here is just fair beats. I'm going to try to get away with a cheeky Dryad Arbor attack here, and I get away with it. I think that card is just way too important for my opponent to take the block there. But if I was going to make... No, I guess there's like days and stuff that I could be considering. Trying to play the Priest first. Blooded Strand. So it looks like we've got a Nadu deck coming here. My opponent passes the turn. So Elvish Mystic is effectively free, assuming that it resolves. I could take a turn to Allosaurus Shepherd. I'm not going to do that. I think if I let my opponent just play Nadu, I think there is a very big chance that that goes poorly for me. Not today's. Alright, Urza's Saga. So their build does have Shuko in it, which means I'll want Collector Oof. Yeah, this is why we did not wait. I'm just going to concede the game. My opponent gets to do this at minimum 8 different times. I think I am past the point of pretending that we're in this game. Okay. So, Thoughtseize is probably necessary. Collector Oof is probably necessary. Rex Sage is probably necessary. Abrupt Decays are probably necessary. I think I'm going to ignore Surgical Extraction as a thing. Like, Surgical Extraction and Endurance have text versus the Cephalid Illusionist combo, but not against the Nadu combo. I think I'm just going to ignore this stuff. I don't think I get to play Coat of Arms here. I think I need to be more interactive and keep my faster win conditions. And Coat of Arms requires you to probably tap out for it, attack the following turn, because a lot of times this is going to require your elf mana to power out. I don't think it's realistic to play it here. Like, we are just playing against a deck that can win, having spent a total of 3 or 4 mana. Do I ever want Atraxa or Fair Stuff? No, I think it's about ending the game. I'm going to cut Visionaries here. I think I just want all my 1-drops so that they can contribute to mana on turn 1, or so that I can play like 1-drop plus Thoughtseize on turn 2. This is fine. This is going to vomit Elves into play very quickly, and then just hopefully get to 6 mana. I think I'm going to start with Llanowar Elves. Actually, it doesn't matter, right? So I can play Allosaurus Shepherd on 1, and then Elf, Heritage Druid, play the other one anyway. Yeah, it's fine to play Allosaurus Shepherd. My opponent's on 5. Savannah. Alright, we eat a Source of Plowshares, which means that I don't get to go absolutely 100% turbo. But we can get some mana into play and be pretty close to 6 mana. Not 6 mana that reasonably allows attacks, but reasonably close to 6 mana. My Windswept Heath is probably getting a Bayou, and then there's 1/2 of my opponent's combo. Birch Lore Rangers, sure. I will Heritage Druid. I will Birch Lore Rangers. I'll attack for 2. I would happily trade for either of these. 18. I expect we just lose the game this turn. Like, I don't think we... Yeah, so this will result in a Thassa's Oracle kill. This is just going to mill their entire deck, and then they will reanimate a Thassa's Oracle. I'm not going to make them click through it. We are dead to this. If I draw Priest of Titania, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can attack for 5 that turn. That's not cutting it anyway. We are not keeping pace here with the combo decks of current Legacy. I think this hand is fine. This is a situation where I kind of wish that I had a second Dryad Arbor in the deck, but we are going to Natural Order relatively quickly. I hope my opponent does not have Tabernacle. Fuck me! God damn it. Alright. Alright. Cool. A new exploration. I'll pay for Dryad Arbor. So I will make an Allosaurus Shepherd. I'll go Cradle. I'll make another mana. I'll make another Allosaurus Shepherd. And we're going to hope for no Wasteland. I think if my opponent has Wasteland, they play it out in that situation. They don't have another real mana source as of right now. Okay, now they do. That is a Life from Loam. I'm not getting very far in terms of offense through multiple Maze of Iths. There's a Hoof. I'm just going to fetch a basic here. So last turn, I could have not played out the second Allosaurus Shepherd, and then tried to use the Cradle on as a burst to Natural Order. But conceptually, trying to use Cradle to keep everything is pretty strong. Again, I'm okay till my opponent hits a Wasteland. Now I could... Multiple Maze of Ith is still just a problem as far as like the hoof turn goes. So that's better. If I play that, I go 3 mana, 4 mana, sacrifice like the Dryad Arbor, get a hoof. Not actually that much damage. And I guess it's fine. Get rid of Dryad Arbor. I could just pick up something like a Visionary here. Hoof is fine, I guess. Oh, hoof, 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 hoof. Alright, there we go. This is where I would like to have the Atraxa in game 1. So this pushes 4 points of damage, which is not overly impressive. This dredge is big. Still not hitting Wasteland, but Expedition map for Wasteland here feels like it just wins my opponent the game. Yeah, so there's the Expedition map. Cracking it with Ancient Tomb. Okay, it's Ghost Quarter instead. I'm going to concede to that. I'll think about it real quick. So I can still keep all of my stuff. I can still play a new Natural Order. That doesn't do anything. I think I'm just going to concede. I think that beats me. Just turn 1 Tabernacle, blind game 1. Belt insurmountable. So let's do a split here. I need Reclamation Sage. That feels quite good. And then I need something to interact with what my opponent is doing. It's some amount of this stuff. So if my opponent's going to have Wasteland and Ghost Quarter, trying to surgical that doesn't make the most sense. I can mess with Urza's Saga by playing Force of Vigor. I don't hate that. How do we feel about Coat of Arms? Coat of Arms turns 1/1s into real threats. It's okay. And probably just cut a little bit of mana production and run something like this. I'm trying not to just cut Coat of Arms in every round here. This is fine, assuming that I can get it going. But this could be a hand where my opponent just, goes Exploration Wasteland, takes out my initial Dryad Arbor, and then I don't actually end up playing a game of Magic if I don't draw another land. So we'll hope that doesn't happen. Oh man, they're the White Splash. Okay. Oh, they've got Rashadenport. Ithing Needle. Sure. What is that going on? Oh, they think I am a Nadu build. Honestly, that's fair. Why would you be doing whatever the fuck it is that I'm doing? Okay. So, Gaia's Cradle. Tap it for 2. Play Birchlore Rangers. Go green and yeah, as they said, actual elves. Cool. It's something resembling actual elves. We're kind of weird over here. We'll go a Priest of Titania. And I want to play Priest of Titania because Rashadenport can make me lose access to my Gaia's Cradle. Now, I have multiple different win conditions in hand. Like Allosaurus Shepherd Activate is fine. Green Sun for a threat is fine. Priest Rider Lookout is cute. So whenever my opponent commits a crime, they look at the top 5 cards of the library, they can put a land from among them onto the battlefield tapped. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana available to me. So let's go 1, 2, green, 3, green sun for 2. I'm going to pick up another Elvish Visionary here to draw a card and increase the amount of mana that Priest of Titania gives me. So now I have 4 mana. I can just Natural Order. It's like whatever. I think I'm going to do it because I would lose Dryad Arbor to Wasteland anyway. Atraxa is not great in the face of Caracas here. I think I am okay just doing a hoof and attacking for 10. And we'll try to get the last couple of points of damage in a fair capacity. Maze of Ith is going to make that job a little tougher. It's probably just a 2-turn plan that involves playing Allosaurus Shepherd and then attacking for a bunch. I have 5 mana currently. Okay, so they are just going to Rashadenport to trigger Free Strider Lookout rather than actually deny a mana with it. My opponent's going to get to look at a lot of cards trying to find something like a Tabernacle. Another Maze of Ith. This is making it with fair creatures harder. Fuck, that's Tabernacle. Yeah. So I can pay for all my shit and still have mana to do other stuff. We get Forest. Go green, green. Play another Priest of Titania. And then go green, green. Play an Allosaurus Shepherd. Hopefully that's good enough. They don't really have another thing beyond this. I am not going to attack. I am not going to give my opponent the chance to target one of my creatures with Maze of Ith and then get another Free Strider Lookout trigger. That's a Ganjo played out. Now my opponent has multiple Free Strider Lookouts. I have an awful stack in my upkeep. So Priest of Titania makes 6 mana. So I will activate an Allosaurus Shepherd. I will now go to combat and attempt to do crimes. But my opponent is going to do crimes in response with Maze of Ith. So a couple of my creatures are going to get mazed. That triggers both of these, unfortunately. Opponent gets to surveil. Then do this thing again. Card went on top of library. Oh no, sorry, that's a text from Lush Portico, I see. Oh, they targeted Craterhoof twice rather than another creature. Why does Crater... Oh, no, sorry, that's displaying two different abilities. That makes more sense. So it's displaying the prevent all damage. My opponent takes 5, goes to 5, play out another creature, pass the turn. Did I overpower the engine? I overpowered the engine. We'll force a game 3 here. So, do I still want Atraxa? I've actively seen Karakas in the deck now. There's a pile of Maze of Iths. Maybe that doesn't make more sense than Hoof. Do I want Endurances? At least 1 to Green Sun for. I might want 1 to Green Sun for. I mean, maybe I do this, honestly. This is hopefully fine. I would like to draw another land. Tabernacle is just such a beating to have to deal with. Okay, I did draw another land. It's not the basic forest that I would prefer, but it's a fine start. Elvish Mystic. Pass. We're hoping that this is not Swords to Plowshares. I do not want to lose my creatures right now. Just lose so much speed if I lose this Elvish Mystic, or if my opponent can play a Tabernacle. Board is fine. Life from the Loam is not scary yet, but will be scary in the not too distant future. So, Shepherd, Birchlore, land, make 2 mana, do an Elvish Visionary. This would be a cool time to spike in Endurance. We did not spike in Endurance. I can Natural Order next turn. Seems like my opponent has a Swords or Crop Rotation or something, and they were thinking about doing it at end step and then did not. Alright, so Dredge does not hit a Wasteland, which is great for me. Okay, so they can Pithing Needle the Allosaurus Shepherd. Stop me from winning in that capacity. That's perfectly reasonable. Ghost Quarter's fine. I'm going to get ported here, which is fine. So 1 mana, 2 mana, 3 mana, 4 mana. I can Natural Order for a Hoof. It doesn't do me a ton of good right now. I prefer it to be lethal when I do it. Do I try to see if I can spike a Cradle? If I win, I probably win by miles, not inches. Let's draw. Think about whether or not I'm playing Dryad Arbor this turn. I think I just play Dryad Arbor next turn. Or whatever turn it's going to be that I cast Natural Order. Send in for 3. 16. Saga's fine. Life from the Loam is fine. That's just getting a Rishadan port. Opponent can port down a land. That's not a problem. Then it doesn't super matter what I do, I don't think. So get Forest. 1, 2, 3. No, we're going to let the anime one attack. 4. Natural Order. And that is good enough for a win. Alright. So our big fast Elves deck is on the scoreboard after a rough start. But we do not have a Coat of Arms kill yet. We would like to see one of those. Alrighty. Let's start off with a Mana Dork. The plan is absolutely to just ramp to Natural Order here. And we're kind of hoping not to be playing against a blue deck. Like, we don't really want to interact here. We just want to kill our opponent. Like, I can play Priest and Heritage Druid next turn, and then Natural Order on turn 3. Their interaction colors. Prismatic Ending. So we will drop a Mana Dork here. Just going to confirm my Atraxa is sideboard. My Atraxa is sideboard. Is unfortunate if this is a blue-white X control deck. It is looking increasingly like that is not the case, and we just hit a Prismatic Ending out of Nadu or something. Yeah, that is a Cephalid Illusionist, and we died on turn 2. Alright, cool. Great format. Okay, so yeah, I can just die on turn 2. I can't do this. That's going to get me my Thought Seizes, and then I decide, like, how much I want to mess with the graveyard versus respect just the Nadu side of things. What is cuttable? Probably like Elvish Visionary. I can probably play 4 slots total. I think I'm going to play cards that cost 0 mana in an attempt to keep tempo. That doesn't do anything. No starting mana source. This is not good. Like, yes, I can Thoughtseize and then make this elf uncounterable and play this elf, but I can't get to the priest, and I have a relatively low land count within the deck. I might need to just keep this, though. I think I'm going to play an elf on 1 rather than Thoughtseize on 1. That way, if I draw a Gaia's Cradle as a land drop, that is live to be a land. That's the plan. Basic planes, I lose my Deuter. Okay, can I afford to get Dryad Arbor? I think so. I hope so. My opponent's deck does have Lotus Petal, so it is possible to just die next turn. To land, it would be land, Lotus Petal, Illusionist, plus Nomads or Shuko. So that's 4 of 6 cards being perfects. There's land. Brainstorm's fine. And then there's Nomads. So now I pretty much have to Thoughtseize no matter what. So let's Thoughtseize and hope that there's not 2 copies of the same thing over there. I will take the Nadu. My opponent's smart. There is, because they just brainstormed, then there is a relevant card on top of their library right now. And they're just going to like play a Cephalid Illusionist or Nadu that they hit on top, and I'm dead. Ah, damn! Got away with murder. Okay. Now I'm still woefully behind in terms of mana. My opponent may have shuffled away some amount of this stuff. I'm just going to ignore that from here. And we are just dead to our opponent finding another one of them. But just good lesson there. If you have a brainstorm and you know that your opponent could be playing discard, and I think Bayou like is a hint that that is something that you could have to play around. Like you can just play around it fully. I have 3 mana this turn. Well, more like 3 mana-ish. I can play Priest of Titania. I can play Heritage Druid. By similar logic to before, I think I just do attack. I think the Nomads is too valuable to lose. So next turn I can Natural Order. Priest is 3 mana, then tap Bayou, that's 4 mana. And just go in with most of my creatures. Or if I draw a land, I can just do it with Dryad Arbor. There's Urza Saga. Alright, and then there's my opponent's combo kill. Alright, GG's. Okay, my opponent has mulligan to 5 cards here. Hopefully they are doing something fair and they just had a bad hand. You know, if we are paired against something like Upsal spells, there's not much I can do about that. We'll pick up a Dryad Arbor here. And then hopefully we just vomit a bunch of elves into play. God damn it. Why did I even say anything? Alright. Elvish Mystic. Llanowar Elves. Gaia's Cradle. 3 mana. Heritage Druid. 1, 2, 3. Play Coat of Arms, and then I kill next combat step with Natural Order. I mean, a turn 3 Goldfish is pretty insane. But, I mean, we are playing against one of the faster combo decks in the... Oh, fuck, we just win. That's cool. I enjoyed the part where we won instead of lost. That was great for me personally. Natural Order. Sacrifice Dryad Arbor. Pick up Craterhoof. Get a turn 3 kill. So, was the Coat of Arms the difference breaker there? So I had 5, 6, 7, 8, plus 16, 24 damage. No, Coat of Arms was not the deal breaker. Okay. So, yes. I guess. Yes. Technically playable, but unexciting. Probably play them. Coat of Arms goes out. This is a turn 1 combat combo deck. It's just not realistic. The Rex Sages and Force of Vigors are pretty unlikely to matter. They can. They're pretty unlikely to matter. I think when I'm on the draw, I'll take every little bit that I can get. Visionary doesn't matter. We'll get rid of those. I go down to 1 hoof. That's greedy. Probably do it, but it's greedy. I don't know. Maybe some of these things like Rex Sage and Force of Vigor are not actually good enough. Like it is such a huge risk to take out that hoof and then draw one on the turn that I want to Natural Order and get my kill. I fully do not believe that I have enough interaction to beat this deck. I have one of my few pieces of turn 0 interaction, so I will keep... I'm probably going to get turn 1'd. Not immediately. Collector Oof has been taken. The opponent might be on a Belcher plan if they went after this rather than Endurance. I will play Elvish Mystic, and then pass the turn. Hope it's good enough. You can do it, little buddy. That's 12. Dark Ritual. Yep, there's Belcher. Unmask target me is happening. And life's looking bad. I guess I'm going to hold up Casting Endurance as a 3/4 attacker, and my opponent is at 12. I guess it is theoretically possible for them to miss mana for a couple of turns. It may have happened. Not going to get too excited. Yeah, sure. Oh fuck, I was supposed to do this and Collector Roof myself to put it back into my own deck. Oops. So, nope. Need black mana. Thoughtseize. Target you. Take a Narcomoeba. Attack for 4. Opponent is at 8. I'll fetch a Dryad Arbor, I guess. Play Birchlore Rangers and pass. If I get another attack step, I do 3, 4, 5, 6 damage, and my opponent can't shock in one of these lands anymore. Hot damn. Hey, there's the exact Collector Oof line that I was talking about. Whoops. Send it. Opponent's at 2. Green Sun for 1. Doesn't really matter what I get here. I'll pick up an Allosaurus Shepherd. Let's see if I die. I do. Yeah, so I win that one if I endurance myself, and I think about it for half a second more. That's frustrating, but that's on me. Now that I've actively seen my opponent playing that, I guess I will adapt to it. I'll go to 1 hoof. I guess we just go down on some mana. Cradle does not count as a starting mana source for this deck. Opponent mulligans very quickly there. I mean, I've got a Surgical. That's a card that interacts with the graveyard. That's pretty unexciting, though. So, my opponent's on 5. I have some degree of interaction against what they are doing. I'm kind of hoping that they just do nothing for a few turns. Yep. Thoughtseize resolves. I lose access to Surgical. Now I'm defenseless against what is coming next. That is a Collector Oof next turn. Can I just kill next turn with Natural Order, though? If I get a Dryad Arbor here? Yeah. So pick up Bayou, cast this for Dryad Arbor, cast this, and then a mana source means that I just cast Natural Order for lethal. 14. Jack-o'-lantern. Blue mana. Oh, just cycling. Sure. Come on, mana. Not mana, but we hit Collector Oof, so that's fine. So yeah. Oof. Send in for 2. We can still die to ritual-based mana, but a one-for-one trade of resources here is very, very good for me. This also shuts off the Charbelcher backdoor. Well, we put 2 wins on the board. We can say that much. All right, so let's take one last look at the deck list here. So conceptually, Coat of Arms is a card that is 5 mana that does not win the game immediately. Based on the play patterns that I was seeing while playing this deck, if you are using the Elves to power out the Coat of Arms, this requires at least another turn cycle to be good. So like if you tap all of your creatures to play this, you're not getting any immediate value out of it. And as we saw in the Eldrazi matchup, you might actually be giving your opponent value out of it by making their creatures larger. And there's no removal within the confines of this deck list, at least not in game 1. So a 5 mana card that does not win the game immediately is kind of not making the cut here by legacy standards. I think for a deck that is attempting to make Coat of Arms work, this was a good attempt. We didn't run into Bowmasters, which would have obliterated all of our small creatures, so that was good. In terms of slots, I don't think you get to, if you want to play Coat of Arms, I don't think you get to play something like Glimpse of Nature. I just don't think you get to have that many non-creatures if you are trying to make Gaia's Cradle work. Like every creature that you take out of the deck is making Cradle worse and worse and worse. So for an attempt at building a legacy power level Coat of Arms deck, I give it a thumbs up. But as far as like, is this competitive enough that I think you can expect to regularly go positive in a league? The answer is probably no. Priest of Titania was surprisingly impressive today as a way to bridge to Natural Order or large Green Suns or something. You know, maybe we can see Priest come back at some point. If you are just trying to go fast, Priest is definitely something that can help you go fast. But maybe you just need 1-drops that you can play on turn 2 to go ham with Heritage Druid. Like, you know, if you just want to ignore Orcish Bowmasters as a card, maybe you just play Glimpses and you go back to a more traditional build that has Nettle Sentinels and whatnot. As far as the things that I had access to in the sideboard, they were fine. Arguably, the Atraxa could have been in the deck in game 1. Otherwise, the tools that I had access to were pretty reasonable. All right, so that is the last pre-ban video. Hopefully we will see a major metagame shakeup. You already know what that is. Time is weird and whatnot. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day, and if you need any cards in the post-ban world, you know where to go. Promo code ThrabenU to let them know that they should continue to support my content. Have a great rest of the day. See ya.